Hello everyone. I would like to welcome everyone today, and I'd like to introduce you to Art Nash. He has been a musician, a songwriter, a lyricist, guitarist, and a harmonic player and drummer for over 50 years. And my name is Margie Deckard, and I am managing Art Nash. But I'd like to let you all listen to something first, what Art Nash has written. It's called As Your Life Goes By. And just tell me what you think. Such a beautiful song.
I just don't think it's loud enough, Margie. I don't think it's necessary for anything. I've turned up a little more than that, I think.
Yeah, we know. Hey, yeah, that it's wrong. When children are longing, where their loved ones have gone, where their loved ones have gone. Where have they gone? Shucks. Hey, hey, say it on. They're standing in the road, and then they fall, and then they fall. You know what it's like to have to live in such fright all day long, night after night, night after night. Remembering those who've lost the right. Please remember them as your life goes by. As your life goes by. The killing goes on. Villages gone. Can we stop it? Will they try? If we all know it is wrong. If we all know it is wrong. Who says they're right? You walk in the night, running down. Oh, poor souls, who can't even fight? Who can't even fight? Who can't even fight? Remember those who've lost the right. Please life goes by, as your life goes by, please remember all of them. As your life goes by, please remember all of them. As your life goes by, as your life goes by.
Art,
Yes.
that beautiful song we just heard, As Your Life Goes By, could you tell us a little bit about it?
I'll tell you. I haven't heard it for a little bit myself. I wrote it about 5 years ago. But hearing it now, rings as true today as it does or did when I wrote it 5 years ago.
Wow.
I think the key to music, outside of telling a story, is to bring awareness. Because awareness is the only way that the mind will change the way it thinks. And this song, for example, was about a young boy and his family in the area of Sudan, Africa. And I learned about it about 5 years ago because the UN had briefly touched on the fact that there was a tremendous amount of genocide going on in Sudan. And this song I decided I wanted to write, As Your Life Goes By, to tell the story of a boy and his family in a village where genocide was being implemented in Sudan, Africa. My original intent was to release it, and that I believe if people heard the story and realized as your life goes by, if we become aware of it, that as a world we will change and realize that killing children, mothers, and fathers just for an oil pipeline is not worth it, that it's truly bad for business. And that's why I wrote it.
I agree. Well, thank you, Art.
Certainly.
Yes, such a lovely, wonderful song. And let's see. Take me back to where you started and what you are doing today. All
Well,
the way back.
That's,
In past.
it goes back a ways, but I'll try to make this as concise as possible.
Yeah.
But also give you a glimpse
Sure.
into the type of person that I am and how I think. And about 1962, the Beatles had come out quickly, and I was not a musician. I had never thought about playing an instrument or anything else. I was basically a 14-year-old or 15-year-old young boy who played baseball in his little neighborhood and a league. When the Beatles came out, something changed in my mind. Of course, we all love the Beatles.
Yes, yeah.
They came out with Hard Day's Night and this and that. I heard in the background something that I didn't know what it was. Turned out to be Ringo Starr playing a set of drums with the Beatles.
Oh, wow.
It captured my imagination, and I wanted to know not only what it was, I wanted to do that. I ran to my mother at some point and said, "Mom, could I borrow something from you?" And she said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want some pie pans and a couple of pillows." She gave them to me. I took them into my room. I hung the pie pans from the ceiling. I put the pillows on the bed, and I found 2 pieces of wood and played these Beatle records and pretended that I would figure out how Ringo Starr was doing this. Now, from that moment, my parents expanded that thought. I did that for about a year. My dad got frustrated, bought me a snare drum, thinking I would beat the snare drum and that would be the end of it and quit. I beat the snare drum till he couldn't stand it anymore for another year, and then he allowed me to get a little kit, a drum kit. So that's how I started drumming. I was in a couple of small little bands, and one day a really good friend of mine from the school I was going in high school came to my door, John Ryan, who was the drummer and a premier drummer
Wow.
with one of the top bands in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, wow.
John knocks on my door and says, "Art, I'm getting married. I'm going to be leaving the band." And out of nowhere, he said, "I want you to consider auditioning to replace me." John was a great drummer. I'd only been playing for a year, or maybe 2 at the most. But he convinced me to try it. When I went to the audition, the band was named Sounds Unlimited in Indianapolis.
Oh, wow.
They were doing cover songs like In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, this is that. It happened to be friends that I was going to be with a great deal, Terry and John Talbot and Tim Ayers. Terry being the leader and the guitar player and singer primarily. John, his brother, played all the instruments, electric guitar, this and that. And Tim Ayers, my dear friend Tim, the bass player. They took me on and they began to teach me how to learn songs,
Wow.
their songs.
Interesting.
We traveled a 2 or 3 state area for a year or 2 under the name of Sounds Unlimited. And one night in Chicago, in a little dreary out suburban nightclub, Terry, the leader, who had been playing music for 10 or 12 years prior to before I met him,
Wow.
knew a gentleman up there by the name of Bill Trout, who was a manager of sorts of acts in Chicago. And he and Terry talked, and the next thing you know, we went home that night and back to Indianapolis.